Muscles move. In fact, they do almost all of the movement in the body through voluntary control to move limbs or unconsciously within the body. Muscles stabilize the joints, maintain posture, and generate heat in the body. There are 3 types of muscle tissue. Skeletal muscles' primary function is to produce movement through shortening and lengthening. Smooth muscle is found inside the body and is needed to carry out autonomic functions such as regulating blood pressure and peristalsis, and cardiac muscle, which keeps the heart beating continuously. Muscles have 4 main properties: the ability to react to nervous stimulation, referred to as excitability, the ability to lengthen when contracting and provide the effort required to produce coordinated movements, referred to as extensibility. Elasticity is the ability to return to resting length once it has been stretched. And contractibility. Muscles are also able to contract or shorten when stimulated by nerves and hormones. There are over 650 skeletal muscles. 150 of those are in the head and neck. They're made up of bundles of muscle cells called fibres that look stripy due to the way in which the tiny filaments within them are arranged. Because of this, they're known as striated muscle. Each muscle is made up of thousands of long narrow cells called microfibrils, known as muscle fibre. The fibrils are grouped together in bundles, and the bundles are grouped together to make up the muscle itself, with an outer covering. Sitting beneath the skin, over the top of the muscles, is a band or sheet of connective tissue called fascia, which attaches, stabilizes, and encloses the muscles and other internal organs. Skeletal muscles are attached to the bones of the skeleton either directly or indirectly. A direct attachment is where the outside of the muscle is fused with the periosteum of the bone or the underlying connective tissues of the skin, as in facial muscles. An indirect attachment is where the outside of the muscle develops into a bundle of connective tissue called a cylindrical tendon or a flat sheet of connective tissue called an aponeurosis. Where muscles are attached to 2 bones by tendons, the point of attachment to the bone that is the least movable is called the origin, and the point of attachment to the bone which is most movable is referred to as the insertion. Skeletal muscles are also known as somatic or voluntary muscles, as they are under voluntary control by the nerves and brain. The muscle fibril either contracts or shortens when stimulated by nerves. It does this by the protein filaments actin and myosin sliding over each other. The more the fibres pull together and overlap, the more tension is produced. Force increases as the muscle gets shorter and shorter. Muscle contraction requires energy in the form of ATP, which is created by a chemical reaction of glucose and oxygen. ATP is also required to remove calcium to create relaxation of the muscle. Muscles receive oxygen via an arterial supply entering through the central part of the muscle, which is known as the belly of the muscle, and into the fibres. During exercise, the capillaries dilate, increasing the blood to the muscle. Contraction movement creates heat in the tissues as well as squeezing the blood in the lymph vessels, which aids the flow throughout the tissues. There are several veins to take away metabolic waste. The nerve supply to the muscle also enters the belly and branches through the connective tissues in the same way as the blood. For a muscle to contract more individual cells need to be involved. A group of muscle cells can be stimulated by one nerve fibre. Where there's a need to have fine control over the muscles, such as the fingers or tongue, each nerve fibre will stimulate just a few muscle cells, whereas in large muscles such as the thighs, many muscle cells will be stimulated by just one nerve fibre. Skeletal muscles need to respond quickly to a stimulus and create a skeletal movement to support an upright posture against the pull of gravity. Their tendons stabilise joints, creating heat. This is important in maintaining normal body temperature. Movement is also needed inside the body, in many of the internal organs and tubes. This movement is carried out by smooth muscle, also called involuntary muscle, because there's no conscious thought controlling its functioning. Smooth muscle has spindle-shaped cells arranged in sheets. It forms bands around and along tubes and organs and can contract in segments. This is how food is moved through the gastrointestinal tract by what is referred to as peristalsis. A sphincter is a circular muscle. There are two types: anatomical muscles, which are under conscious control, such as the muscle around the eye, and functional, that maintain constriction within passages in the body to control the movement of fluid. These muscles are autonomically controlled through the nervous system. Cardiac muscle only exists in the heart. It's involuntary, but its fibres are striated, so it resembles skeletal muscle. Its function is to control the beating of the heart. The cells are all linked together with special junctions to produce systematic movement of the whole heart, which never stops.